Should this tactical zoom lens be made illegal?
2. Yeah. Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you may find yourself on this lovely day. Good evening, good morning, good night. See, we have a full house. It can't get no fuller. So today's war room, we will breezing through some economic data, economic calendars, and we'll be looking at some charts. Format will be a little bit different, as we have been looking at pivot points. We'll be looking at the template pattern, some trend following signals, and some structure. Today's war room will be broadcasted out of the bucket shop, as I want more traders to get familiar with what it is the setting here is. So before we get into it, let's just state it is Sunday, August 8th, 2021. Traditional markets remain closed as of this broadcast. Disclaimer: trading foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and the high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of all of some of your initial investments, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. We ain't a financial firm. We an MMO. Let's do it. Alright, welcome to this Sunday's War Room, fellas. This is we're going to go over a couple of global macro themes that are playing out in the market. You'll see these themes play out on your charts. COVID variants threaten reopenings. Soft lockdown measures have triggered opposition protests in multiple countries, pointing to a further rise in infections. Central banks see inflation easing in 2022-2023. Multiple banks have signaled tapering their asset purchases and stand ready to raise rates as early as Q1 2022. Climate change rallies have multiple countries now have raging wildfires. Recent mass floodings have eased, and recovery and mitigation efforts continue. In later versions of the War Room, we'll be recapping the economic data and the calendar. We'll be updating our central bank positions. Today we'll dive straight into our economic calendar and what we can expect. Now, I do want you traders to be aware that we are in the middle of summer. It is one of the lawless times in Forex markets and trading in general. So it's not the ideal times to be trading, but since we are career traders, here we are nonetheless, right? All right, so let's dive into the economic calendar. If you do not have an economic calendar, you can always look ours up. I curated it is manually managed at the moment over at ironabacusforexskill.com. If not, I recommend you use tradingeconomics.com, one of the best economic calendars. Our calendar happens to be mixed with astrological and other events, so it's a part of the game here. Now, going into tomorrow, Monday, it is pretty light on the docket, as you can see here. As far as major impactful events, we have the zoo economic sentiment is projected to come in a little lower than previous. That will affect the euro, so that will happen around 5 a.m. in New York time, which is one of our main economic data drop points. 5 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Speaking of 8:30 a.m., there is nothing on the docket that would really move us much other than non-farm productivity and unit labor costs out of the U.S. at 8:30. 4:30 p.m. we have the API crude oil stocks change. This will affect the price of oil. Later on that evening, I'm looking at Tuesday. Look back to Monday. We're back in the balance of trade actually happens at 2 a.m. New York, coming out of Germany. That'll affect the euro. And later on in the evening, 9:30 p.m., you have the Aussie. Our 8:30 slot on Monday is empty, as is our 5 a.m. slot. So we don't expect much movements. Maybe 10 a.m. we'll get some movements out of the JOLTS job opening U.S. Tuesday, which is what I skipped to before. Again, we get the zoo economic index coming out at 5 a.m. That will move the euro. We're expecting a drop in that number. At 4:30 p.m., we have the API crude stocks change coming out of the U.S. Our 8:30 a.m. slot only has 2 dockets on it. Not much to move us. But 8:30 p.m. we will be getting the Westpac consumer confidence out of Australia, which is expected to either roll flat or drop just a little bit, considering how COVID has issued caused them to issue lockdowns in several sectors. Now, moving on into Wednesday, starting our day, we have nothing up until, let's see, our 5 a.m. slot is pretty open. We just have some inflation rate coming out of Italy and Germany. 8 a.m. we'll do our bucket shop session here. And then at 8:30, we do have the U.S. dropping core inflation. So we want to see where that number is moving. Expecting it to pull back just a little bit. The year over year for your lies expected to have gone up just a smidgen. I am calling a roll flat, so probably not too far from the recent numbers, last week's numbers. Moving on to Thursday, capping off Wednesday, there is nothing else to hold us down until 10:30 a.m., which will be the EIA gasoline stocks change, another price oil mover. If stocks go up, price goes down. Stocks go down, prices go up. That's how the game goes, right? That's the scales. So we're looking at Thursday now. We're going to start the day off with balance of trade coming out of the UK at 2 a.m. New York. There's a lot of data coming out of the UK at 2 a.m. At 4 a.m. we'll have the EIA oil report from France. And then we are clear to go, as 5 a.m. does not have too much of a big mover there. We do have we have Turkey issuing an interest rate decision at 7 a.m. New York. So you Lira traders, if you're watching, be aware. 8:30 a.m. New York, we do have initial jobless claims coming out of the U.S., which we're expected to continue on a bull rally. Looking at the forecast, they're actually calling for a pullback in that number. Of course, as more people return to work, we expect jobless claims to go down, and this will be bullish for the dollar. bullish for your NFPs. And then, of course, on Thursday, we do get the OPEC monthly report. So, you oil traders, CAD traders, Norwegian krone traders, do be aware. Even some of your ruble traders might want to be aware of that. On Friday, our docket looks pretty dry again. There's nothing much to move us as it is the middle of summer. As you see, this week does not even contain a central banker speech. They're somewhere in there. Did I find them? I don't know. Let's see. But that's what your economic calendar is looking like this week. Not much volatility. Biggest movers will be the Aussie and the USD on Tuesday and on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll get the USD moving some more due to the initial jobless claims. Right now, we know technicals are in control, and that's what we're trading. Speaking of technicals, we're going to dive into our technical charting. That was the economic calendar for the week coming up of August, what is it, 9? August 8th to August 14th. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll come back. We're going to dive into what is a template, and then we're going to break down some charts and see if we have some good setups coming up this week. This is the Iron Abacus Forex Guild. I am the Iron Clerk. Welcome to my world. This beat is action packed. Huh? This beat does it. Go beat, go. All right, let's put this beat down. Let's get back into it. Welcome back to the War Room. I'm the Iron Clerk. We're going to do some technical charting. We're going to introduce the template pattern. My joystick messed up here, so I got to manually click this. This is Neanderthalish. All right, so first off, let's do a little top-down analysis of how we analyze charts here. We start with monthly. If you're not familiar with candlestick patterns, I do suggest you read up on them. You don't have to know them all. Just have to know the ones that are pretty good. For instance, I tend to use a lot of pin bars, dojis, has a trend reversal. So looking at our monthly on the Euro USD, we're having a down month, meaning we started this month low and we continue it down. So we only expect this week that low to continue. Might be a pullback. Let's find out. We're going to dive down now to the weekly. And yep, weekly is actually giving us a template signal, meaning that trend and oscillation have combined. Now, trend and oscillation are two factors we look for when looking for technical entries in our trades. And the higher the time frame, the more these factors confluence, the more of a probable trade we have on our hand. So we have the 21 and 55 EMAs, exponential moving averages, set to the close, and the stochastic set to a 853 frequency. All right, now I can see some support and resistance here. Now, how do we identify support and resistance? Well, price bounces off of support and resistance, and when it breaks, it is called a row reversal. So this zone here is a row reversal. It served as resistance prior and support and resistance. So it's definitely the zone where price, once it crosses, it will stay to the other side. So right now we have a cross to the top, pull back to it, and it is up, pull back, consolidating before making its next up move on this chart here. This is the weekly, and we did have a down week last week. This week might see a bit of a pump up. Dollar euro might get a bid. Let's drop down to the daily. The daily gave us a very clean template last week, meaning trend and oscillation pulled back and told us to sell, sell, sell. Now, within the cloud of the 21 and 55 EMAs, you can see price action. The candlesticks have started wicking to both sides. So once you get strong wicks to either side, you can say that pressure has begun to mount and push price down from it. So last week we saw a template pattern as price pulled back to descending EMAs, and price immediately condensed, gave us a hammer to the downside, a doji, another hammer to the downside, another hammer, another pin barish candle to the downside, followed by a powerful, what we would call a Maribozo had it not so much wicks. But it is a down move. So we're looking at dollar strength, which coincides with the themes that we have going on of COVID variants threatening reopenings and governments reissuing soft lockdowns to contain the spread. Of course, this all points to investors moving into a safe haven currency like the dollar. Now, I would like to remind Forex traders, focus on monetary policy that the central banks do. Other than that, nothing else really matters. All right. So we're going to drop on down to the 4 hour. Now the 4 hour is where we're actually looking for our entries and our templates. And last week we had a buy that failed. Now how do we follow up on these trades? We get the signal, and then we follow up on the lower time frame for the same exact signal. All right, so if you're looking for a bullish entry because you have a bullish signal, then you want to drop down to, a bullish signal on your 4 hour. You drop down to the 5 minute and you look for the same exact bullish signal. It'll increase your probability of entering a profitable trade. All right. And this is the 4 hour. So we had a cross to the top side. It was just consolidation as price continued to move down. Fundamentals favor a strong dollar in the market. Metals prices have been a little bit on the low side. So Aussie is weak, Kiwi is weak. Euro against the dollar, of course, dollar story has been a lot stronger. But we are opening low this week. We are opening at support. So we can expect a pop up from these levels. My expectancy is another sell pattern right around here. There you go. So we could be seeing a move back up, depending on the strength of the buyers. We have more strong data coming out this week that might support the dollar. We could get a swing down. We had some support here that got broken, so we can expect that to become resistance. EMAs have crossed, bearish. It is going to be a low opening on the week. Expect a pop. By Wednesday, we can see the trend continuing as dollar data start to creep back into the market. And it shows strong dollar recovery. That is a euro dollar on the setup. We'll be looking for some templates on this chart. That is a mix of trend and oscillation. We're gonna let me show you guys the oscillator. Let me set it to 853. So here you go. As you see, oscillators are bullish. So is the RSI. That's two contributing factors to our buy signal here, or our buy opening. If you drop down to a lower time frame, you'll see similar patterns, but it also becomes more noisy. You stand to get whipped out. I think the lowest I would go is 1 hour. But honestly, I recommend 4 hour. Less pressure on the brain. And that is what we're expecting. Expecting the oscillator itself to move up. All right, now let me put it there. It sucks. Anyway, expect the oscillator to swing up, back up into buy, coinciding with our break here, thus giving us the potential for another low move. We would have to break last week's high to continue higher. Last week's high being here. Any break of that zone there will push us up into our next reversal zone, which is right here. Lots of orders waiting there. Lots of orders. Look at that right there. This zone here seems to be getting filled up. So if the euro does catch a good strong bid, then we'll see a pop similar to the drop. I don't want to come back in and fill this area with some price. Give me some orders here, man. You move too fast. That would be a bullish scenario. All right, let's pick another pair. Make sure we're familiar with what the template is. Confluence between trend and oscillation. All right. Let's do the same. We did have a vicious pop-up on the pound last week. It was one of the few who retraced a decent amount against the dollar last week, the week before, and then consolidated. It was a good Velamez. This is a different, another trade entry we'll go over another time. Right now we're looking for Templies. We did get bullish by Templies, just not getting too much of a move up. Right now it is currently in a bull Templi, meaning trend and oscillation have combined to the buy side. Let's drop in our oscillator. Momentum is down, so is stochastic, but it is basing out, so we might see the end of this up move consolidation and then another up move. So this will be interesting to watch. My recommendation would be on the exit of the stochastic from overbought oversold. Then you look for the same entry on the 5-minute. That is the Templi, and that is the pound dollar. Let's take a quick look at sub weekly. Ooh, weekly just bounced off a Templi. Look at that. That is a nice hammer at the bottom of this trend, pointing to further upside. Stochastic on the weekly has just crossed out of oversold, so it's a good, might be a good time to buy. Might be. Even though monthly is pointing down, 21 and 55 EMA are combining, so we could see a pull back to the 21 before we see that weekly Templi really pump up. So that means that this weekly Templi here could fail. High potential of failing. Alright, let's drop down to the daily. Up move consolidation. Looks like a head and shoulder pattern is forming on the daily at the top of this trend. So we could be seeing more dollar strength picking us down. The daily is trending to the downside. It did come out of sell Templi. So we can see more push down. That coincides with our euro setup, whereas we're looking at strong dollar movements. It's a low opening here too, so again, a little bit more up move, just like the euro, before the dollar reigns supreme. Aussie dollar and Kiwi dollar have also opened low. Kiwi dollar just has more of an uptrend setup, whereas the euro Aussie dollar here seems to have been consolidating. I'm not sure if I trust this to be a reversal, but definitely looks like it's consolidating before continuing down to the next level. Looking at the Kiwi dollar, I usually compare the two. Its consolidation is a lot more serious, but it has a more of an up move. Up, up, down, down, up, 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 down, down. And it is giving us a buy Templi here on the 4 hour. So we can expect more move up. Again, low opening against the dollar for all these pairs. But dollar flows are strong. Get rid of these extra colors. I don't need them in my face. All right, let's look at USD CAD, another good one. A lot of guys like to trade. So we did have a clean move up. That is your up move. Currently looking at the 4 hour, it just crossed low. It is consolidating. So it crossed down, but it didn't move down too much. It is giving us a sell Templi here. So this is in line with our other signals of the dollar opening too high and starting to pull back to start the week. That is the USD CAD 4 hour. Let's look at the daily. Clean reversal. Clearly broke out of this downtrend that it had set for a while. So it broke out of several bear vectors. So we can expect more up move here, especially if dollar flows are expecting to start getting stronger due to COVID restrictions coming back. And also watching those oil stocks. Let's keep an eye on that. That is the USD CAD. Let's drop down to the 4 hour. All right. It looks like it's consolidating before dollar continues to get stronger. So more up moves in this pair too. Dollar will start is pointing to start the week on the back foot, and then possibly roll over as the inflation data kicks. As what is the inflation data? Dun, dun. Yep, as inflation data kicks in on Wednesday. All right, let's pick another pair. Aussie CAD, gold versus oil. Obviously, oil has been winning. I think we could blame cryptocurrencies for the interest of gold as a store and value. So we broke this support. We're coming up to it. We're hitting it as resistance. Expect a little consolidation and move down as the daily is trending down. Gave us a template not too far ago. The weekly has just crossed over in the last month. And the monthly itself is also bearish. So that's bearish on the monthly, bearish on the weekly, bearish on the daily. Was bearish on the 4 hour, but looks like it's going to roll back over bearish. So sell it. We can find it for cheaper somewhere else. F it. All right. That is Aussie CAD. We're looking at some templates and some EMAs. Euro Franc just hit a 1 month low and did a big reverse before closing last week. Nice clean downtrend. I forgot, I might deleted it, but how low I had the channel going. I think, let me see. I had it, oh yeah, it broke below the channel. So that's a big break from the median. Yep. Looks like it's poised for more upside against the Frankie. The Frankie overall looks like it rolled over against everybody pretty much last week. Especially rolled over hard against the dollar. It was going strong against everybody, with the exception of the pound. It was a little mixed. But last week saw a rollover again, Frankie against the Aussie, the Kiwi, the dollar, and the pound. And then the euro was the last holdout. And after hitting a 1 month low, reversed. Yen came in mixed last week. This week it seems to be opening pretty low. So it might gain some strength to start the week and then roll back over as dollar flows continue on Wednesday. Last week, in line with the Frankie, they tend to trade the same direction. They also the yen also rolled over against all the pairs, rolled over weak. So it was a down week in the yen. This might be an up week for the yen. CAD was holding its strength last week. It did a nice strong Velamez against everybody and tore into them, with the exception of the pound, who recovered pretty fast. against everybody else, it just seems like after it rolled back soft, it just held on to this hardness. Except against the dollar. Against the dollar, it was came in mixed. So we're looking at the CAD strength to possibly continue this week, along with dollar strength. Yen weakness, then yen to follow in along with that. So it's a risk off type of sentiment in the market, and that points to dollar strength. Cool shit. All right. Looks like we're gonna wrap it up here. Nice, straight to the point. I do like to point out we do have our Discord server. It's Central Bank of Republic Data Mine. It's open to the public. We'll have the Twitch and the YouTube pumping out more content. Also keep an eye on our Twitters. So that is a wrap for this week's War Room session. The Twitters at Abacus House for charts and trade setups, at Iron Abacus for economic data drops, Abacus Universe info, and the occasional meme. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we aim to deliver the finest in occult Forex entertainment. Pip smart and pip hard.